All right, so some of you might know that recently I proposed to my now fiance, and you might have noticed the Millennium Falcon in the background because we were at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World in Orlando. And I was originally going to make a montage of all the clips that I collected of the entire trip, but I felt like there's so much I want to say about the Galaxy's Edge attraction. So originally, this trip was supposed to happen in October 2020, and I've been planning it out since 2017. If you haven't seen the video, I was building an engagement lightsaber that I was going to put an engagement ring in and hand it to Jade in front of the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge in Orlando. The video is right here if you want to check it out. But due to the pandemic, we decided to postpone the trip and not go in October. When I spoke to some folks who actually went to Disney during the pandemic, they have told me that this might be the best time to go because the park is actually at 35% capacity. Some of the attractions are actually closed, and it's really well regulated for COVID guidelines. And what was most important to me was because of the restrictions, Galaxy's Edge did not have a 2-hour limit because when they opened, there were so many people that they had to limit everybody's time visiting there to 2 hours. At the time we went, there was no restrictions at Galaxy's Edge. And one of the things that really indicated to us that Disney was following the 35% capacity was the fact that all the rides, according to the app, only had 15, 30, no more than 45-minute waits, which is fairly reasonable considering at Disney you can wait anywhere between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours in line to get into a ride. So after we got fully vaccinated, off to Disney we go. Now we had 4 days of park hopper, meaning we can hop around to each one of the parks. And being from the Midwest, we would go early in the morning where it was nice and cool outside. And about 2 p.m. every day we were at the park, we decided to tap out because it was getting too hot and the sun was just becoming unbearable for us who are used to the snow. And after being at all the parks, one thing we were very certain of is I don't think in my adult life I ever need to go back to the Magic Kingdom. It's great for kids and it was good for the photo op, but I don't feel a compelling reason to go back there. I remember Magic Kingdom when I was 8 and it felt really, really boring. And it really hasn't changed. Now to the main part of this video, I wanted to talk about my experience at Galaxy's Edge. This is the recently built Star Wars attraction that's supposed to immerse you into a whole new planet where you're in an actual world of Star Wars. So it's inside Disney's Hollywood Studios where most of the rides have sort of a movie, film, or television show themed to them. And I want to preface this, if you didn't already know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the sequels, which a lot of Star Wars fans aren't, but it doesn't stop me from visiting Galaxy's Edge, and I definitely don't regret going because it really is a unique experience, whether you like the sequels or not. And whether you like the sequels or any part of Star Wars or not, and you're just a overall Star Wars fan, you're welcome on my channel. Not here to hate on anyone's taste. As we're walking towards Galaxy's Edge, the first thing we noticed was that the old Star Tours ride that was built over 30 years ago is actually outside Galaxy's Edge. It's almost like it's not included in all the fun. I've been on this ride before and it's okay, but it wasn't really part of the adventure of what Galaxy's Edge is, but it's near where it's at. We took some selfies next to the Imperial Walker and then made our way into Galaxy's Edge. Oh man, once you're in that section, it's a whole nother world. And the thing about it is you can't really see Galaxy's Edge as you're walking in because there's the Star Tours way to walk in there and then there's the Toy Story way to walk in there. The way they built it was that it's secluded. You can't see it from the outside because they built these full-size artificial mountains to cover all around. And as soon as you walk in, you're in another planet. And not only are you in another planet, they do 3D surround sound so you can hear TIE fighters and spaceships, even though you don't see them, just flying around everywhere. First things we saw were these full mock-ups of vehicles in Star Wars. You see an X-Wing, you see an A-Wing, you see some land speeders. And the detail to these full-size mock-ups are incredible because when I film them and I do some color grading, it's like film accurate. Like the texturing, it doesn't look fake. It looks like it's the actual ship in the movies. I've been to amusement parks before where, like, say you see the Batmobile, but then when you look closer, it's an empty shell inside. It's just for looks. These ships, these droids, these speeders, they're all very, very well detailed, all the way to when you touch them. You shouldn't touch them, by the way. And all the cast members in Disney are all in character, which I'll talk about later because I have a funny story to share about that. So as we were walking in, we were there really early in the morning because we had a reservation for the Rise of Resistance ride. And we were making our way around just trying to scope out the whole attraction. It's not really that big of a place because it's part of the Hollywood Studio Park. We located where some of the shops are. We located where we can get the blue milk at. And also we had to find where the Millennium Falcon was. So after we did this at the Millennium Falcon, we made our way to the Rise of the Resistance line. And what's cool about the reservation was the fact that the line is not that long. I think it took us maybe 15 minutes to get into the main part of the ride. And it's a really good idea to try to pay attention to what's going on because all these rides have a Star Wars story to them. And you're not just riding along inside this world, you're actually part of this story. Now, I'm not trying to spoil the ride for anyone. When I was doing research on the ride, I avoided watching anybody's video of the entire ride, which, by the way, Disney allows you to do because I guess my guess is that it helps promote the attraction. So if you don't want to spoil the ride, I'm going to be showing some clips of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is going to be the best parts. So spoiler alert. If you don't want to spoil this ride and you want to experience it for the first time without knowing what's going on, I'm giving you a warning now. I'm going to be showing clips. So one of the cool things that I saw was that there was a hologram of Rey, and you can see it. It's 3D but 2D. You know, like she's flat, but it's in the middle of the chamber. So it's one of those projections that where the screen seems transparent. It looked really cool. And then all of a sudden you get on a resistance ship that goes into space. Long story short, the resistance ship gets caught by a Star Destroyer. Now, I have to say, one of the things that kind of breaks immersion here to being in this world is the animatronics because everything looks so robotic-like. In these rides, they're always switching between actual human cast members, animatronics, and holograms. The other thing that would break immersion is when you would see the Resistance Fighter cast members and the First Order Forces cast members is that they're all wearing PPE because we're still following COVID guidelines. I think this was a missed opportunity because I think that they could have probably built custom helmets and custom masks. I know it's really expensive to do, but it's Disney. They could have done something with a blast shield that could have served as part of the costume of these cast members. So once we were captured by the Star Destroyer, First Order officer walks in and then leads us out into the hangar of this Star Destroyer. And oh my God. Oh my God. When you walk into this room, you're inside a Star Destroyer hangar. It is huge. You're looking around, and I have this thing where when I'm on these rides where I want to find out where the fantasy ends by seeing like seeing an exit sign somewhere or where they didn't build the rest of the ship. And when I look around, I see our ship that we landed on. I see a TIE fighter docked over here, over beyond the airlock. I see space. And the ceiling is as big as you would see it in the movie. You turn around, your ship's sitting there. All the prisoners are walking out of the ship. And Oh my gosh, I wish I spent more time in that room because like you're being hauled off to the interrogation room. And like I'm trying to take as many selfies, trying to film a little bit because I just want to sit there and bask at the fact that there's a bunch of stormtroopers sitting right there in front of me. And oh, oh my gosh. Anyways, so, we get hauled off to the interrogation room, and then all of a sudden, we break out because a resistance fighter breaks us out and puts us into a car, and we're going to escape the Star Destroyer. And this is the best part of the ride. You get into this car, and there's seats for the front, there's seats for the back, and then there's a glass that's separating you from the group in front of you because, COVID. And the first thing I notice is there's multiple cars, but none of them are riding on a track. And what's going to happen is you're going to be moving through the Star Destroyer. And these cars dance around each other as you're moving along. And one of the biggest wow factors that really gets you is when you move into the room where the AT-AT walkers or AT-AT walkers, aka First Resistance Party, and these walkers are full size. They're not half size like the one in front of Star Tours. These are full size walkers. You could barely see the top of them because they're so high up there. And it's not just you're passing by it. Your little car is going underneath it. And then it backs up. And then you're getting shot by stormtroopers at some point. I don't remember exactly what. But then you get lifted at some point and you get like really close to underneath one of the walkers. And then more stormtroopers are firing at you. Now here's another thing that kind of breaks the immersion. There's no smoke machine, so when the stormtroopers fire at you, it's like a gun. You don't really see like a tracer because, laws of physics, their light doesn't travel that way. But it would have been nice to have a smoke machine and see a 3D light source like a laser just flashing from the stormtroopers. I don't know, but maybe there is a smoke machine there, but they turned it off because of restrictions. And then there's a part where you get to the bridge of the Star Destroyer and you can see Hux and Kylo Ren looking out into space, and then all the resistance fighters arrive, all their ships arrive, and you see it. And then there's another part where you're going through the gun turrets of the Star Destroyer, firing at the resistance, and your car is literally driving past all the turbo lasers. And then all of a sudden, Kylo Ren is coming after you, and then there's an explosion behind him, and there's a hull breach, and he almost gets sucked down into space. And then you think you're safe, and then he's cutting through the ceiling with the lightsaber, and you can see the little detail in where the metal was melting. It's nuts. And all of a sudden, your car drives into the escape pod, and then it drops from the Star Destroyer. And then you pass all the ships and land on the planet.
Your escape pods came in a little off target. Ground crews will meet you outside.
And then you get out of the car, you walk out, and as you walk out, it's literally the scene of where you landed in the story. It's your escape pod that crash landed, and you're walking to your exit to safety. I can see why that ride requires you to make a reservation because we have to wake up at 7 a.m. to make sure that we were the first ones to click on the app. And it's not the type of ride that you can keep going back to because the next time you have to make a reservation is at 1 p.m. Now, after that, we went to go get some blue milk. And the blue milk is non-dairy, which I'm really happy for because I'm Asian and anything with milk turns into chocolate milk. But there's multiple kinds. There's green milk, there's blue milk, and it's really made from fruits, I believe, fruit juices. And there's alcoholic ones and non-alcoholic ones. And I wasn't so daring to be drinking while I'm getting on these rides that could make you feel a little nauseous. So I went for non-alcoholic, and it was sweet. It tasted like a very light smoothie. It had a milky texture, but it didn't have that oat milk or soy milk like characteristic to it. It had more of a smoothie, and I would say it would go really well with boba. In fact, Disney, if you're listening, if you want to do a specialty drink that I think would be killer, you should do, wait for it, Boba Fett blue milk. So the next ride we got on was a Smuggler's Run, and this is the ride that was basically inside the Millennium Falcon. Now, the big mock-up of the Millennium Falcon outside, the one we took a million pictures next to, that ride actually, the line wraps around the Falcon and you get to really see it from all sides. I wish there's a tower somewhere where you can see it from the top, because I feel like the top of the Millennium Falcon is getting neglected because nobody can see it. Now, the cool thing about the Smuggler's Run is I think this is not based on the sequel, only because it involves a pirate that was introduced in the Clone Wars series. And if he's in it, I would say that this kind of took place between episode 3 and 4, as opposed to the sequels. So this is more of a nod to the Rebels and Clone Wars series. This was the ride I was most excited about because you're literally flying inside the Millennium Falcon. It's a perfect ride for 4 people.
Oh my God!
When you get in there, you're literally walking through the corridors of the Millennium Falcon, and then you sit in the cockpit. There's 2 pilots and 2 gunners.
Safety, remain seated and supervised only.
Oh my God!
Jade and Joanne decided to be gunners, and Joanne's husband and I were the pilots. Now, it's not really piloting, but basically the controls are he does left and right, and I do up and down, and the 2 girls push a button to fire the guns.
Okay. Push the button.
It's really cool because you see all the little blinkies. I wish I could have spent more time in this cockpit because it was like an awesome little simulator.
I'm up and down, right? You're up and down.
You wait for a little button to blink and then you start the Falcon.
You'll stick to fly right and left. I was just about to say that. Pilot on the right.
And then you fly around and you get out of the atmosphere. And once you're in space, you really have to pay attention because I kind of missed the mark. But the lever for the hyperdrive started blinking, and I didn't know it was blinking because my goofy millennial ass was also filming the ride as I was doing it. But the green light came on for the hyperdrive lever, and Ben goes,
Pull us to light speed, PJ!
we see the star streak, and all of a sudden we're in hyperspace. And one of the things I noticed is, I don't know if the controls is a placebo or if they actually work, because it's just a little nudge to the left and a little nudge to the right, a little nudge up or down, or maybe it's not even doing anything at all because I'm not sure if anything changed in the ride from our controls. But basically the story goes, we steal the coaxium, bring it back, we do one more jump to light speed. And it's end of the ride. As we walk out, it doesn't look like it's the same. It's the Millennium Falcon corridor, and it looks like the Millennium Falcon, but it isn't the same one that we entered through. And then we walk out of the ride. I took so many pictures in that ride. I wish the cockpit area was more lit up because I couldn't take an effective selfie because it was kind of dark in there. But that ride was so fun because that was the ride that I was so excited to do, because I have a thing for simulators and starfighters and ships and airplanes, and just being able to be in there and immersed in the magic of flying the Millennium Falcon. So we didn't do the lightsaber building because, it required another appointment, and it cost $200. And since I had already built a lightsaber for Jade for our engagement, we kind of opted out of it. From what I've watched, the hilt is actually big, but what's special about it is you can switch the kyber crystals in it and it'll change colors and all that. But it's something that I myself would probably wait till we have kids to bring them to that, because I like having a more serious lightsaber. In fact, I ordered a new one for myself when I came home, but I'll probably try it one day. But I was more interested in taking the time to do the rides. And then there was cool things that we saw, like one of the ships, we see the stormtroopers come out, and what's cool is that their voices, they can actually talk to you, because when I was taking a selfie, they were like, "Citizen, what are you doing with that data pad?" So. And one of the shops we actually visit, and we got to see some of the replica lightsabers. We saw holocrons, we saw Jedi robes. Needless to say, there's a lot of things at Galaxy's Edge I haven't even gotten to try because we were on a trip to check out most of Hollywood studios, so we ended up going to Toy Story after. But things I still need to try is the food, check out the other gift shops. A lot of the characters that we see, we don't really get to meet because, social distancing, so they're always in the distance. But it was a really unique experience because we were going at a time where the park had to adjust to what was going on in the world at the moment. In some ways, it made the visit easier. In other ways, it made the visit different. So I'm not going to lie, I really, really want to go back to Galaxy's Edge. Maybe even try the one in Disneyland. I don't know if there's any. I know it's identical, but I don't know if there's something different about it. Maybe the weather's different because it's drier there, not humid. But it was so much fun for me. And, I'm biased. I'm a Star Wars fan. But unlike any other attraction at Disney, like there's something different about it because even the cast members are really playing their characters like with like full passion. Like you can see in their eyes, because that's all you can see of their face. You can see in their eyes that they are living it up. Now, like I have a lot of criticisms towards Disney as far as I want them to pay their workers better. But I can tell that the cast members that are working at Disney are real Star Wars fans. Because if you go to any other ride, you can, you get that vibe where people are just doing their jobs. But the ones at Galaxy's Edge are living it up. I even heard sometimes they have celebrity guest cast members. Like in Disneyland, they had Macaulay Culkin. So there's something really different about the vibe of Star Wars being at Disney. And let me give you an example. So the first time I planned on bringing the lightsaber into the park, I had emailed customer service. This was before the pandemic. I emailed customer service and I asked, hey, is it okay to bring a lightsaber into the park? Because I'm aware that you're not supposed to be cosplaying characters at the park just because they don't want kids confusing you with cast members because, like it's a safety issue. So I went ahead and asked, and my first email, it was a totally normal response. Dear PJ, thank you for contacting Walt Disney World Resort. Congratulations. We are excited. You are planning a visit to propose to your girlfriend at Walt Disney World. Sounds like a go for the saber. This is so imaginative and exciting. Have fun. Let us know if we can be of any assistance. And they gave me a phone number if I had any challenges at the door, just in case security goes, oh, you're not supposed to bring weapons here. Well, whatever the case is. Sounds normal. Pandemic happens. I figured maybe I should email again just in case any regulations change. And boy, this is the response I got from whoever wrote this email. Dear Priya and Joni, thank you for contact, blah, 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 blah. While you'll be proposing to your beloved at a spot that would make any true Jedi jealous, I share in your enthusiasm as my beloved a long ago is what he wrote, ... while loading star speeders for a trip to Endor. We both worked at Star Tours 30 years ago, when the facility was brand new. We have Jedi and Sith wearing the lightsabers on their belts all the time. Many of them custom, whether created at Savvy's, I think they're talking about the lightsaber building, or customizers all over the world. I think he's speaking about guests and not cast members, but it wasn't clear to me when he first wrote it. You do not need special approvals, nor will there be any questions regarding its presence. We would request, though, a discreet appearance while on Earth. Corinthians refer to a type of apparel/fashion worn by these indigenous people as Disney bounding, by having only hints of a character uniquely their own. This fashion is done in order to distinguish travelers from more notable as well as notorious characters known throughout the galaxy. I didn't understand this at the time, but I think he was saying that like you can cosplay while you're there, but you just can't be the distinct characters that everybody knows. And that's how you distinguish the cast members versus people as guests who just want to wear the Resistance Starfighter outfit or be Han Solo. I don't know. I don't know where the line is. Come forth, young Jedi. Bring your secreted surprise with your saber hilt and make every Jedi, Sith, and Earthling within eyeshot know the true power of the Force. You know, they could have simply just said, yes, you can bring your lightsaber, but man, whoever like responded to that took it to another level. And you know what? I dig it. I'll eat that up. So, if you know me personally, you know that I don't like vacations. I don't like to take trips. It actually causes me to be anxious. I actually quit a job where I'm spinning and touring all over the country. One of the reasons being it's very stressful for me to travel, especially when it was like every 2 weeks to once a month. I think it had a lot to do with the fact that I have Chewie now at home and I always miss him. If you want to follow my dog on Instagram, it's Chewbacca Villafleur. So if it's not work related, it takes a lot for me to actually travel. And while I appreciate watching my friends go hiking, go to these beautiful places all over the world and on Earth, if I'm not doing something that's music related or work related, it's usually hard for me to try to just go and travel because I don't really have that inner want to go someplace to feel better. I usually like just staying home, doing my work because I love my job. And I don't like piling up on work while I'm away on a trip, only for it to be there when I get back. I'm so happy that I made an exception to go to Disney because Galaxy's Edge, for me, was worth it. And of course, I also got engaged there. But the rides, the immersion, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. I just hope in the future, Disney does more themes than just the sequels. I know Star Wars Theory talked about this, but just have more than just the recent movies. I would hope that maybe one day Disney opens Disney World somewhere where it snows so you can do a halt experience in one of those places. And you know what I really like? Initially, when Galaxy's Edge was opening, I thought it was a whole park. No, Galaxy's Edge is just a section of Hollywood Studios in Orlando and wherever it's at in Disneyland. I hope one day the response to Galaxy's Edge is so big that Disney does a dedicated park that's just all Star Wars. Wherever you go, it's just all Star Wars. Like we can do the Rise of the Resistance and the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, or I can fly an X-Wing or a snowspeeder around an AT-AT Walker here. Like a dedicated Disney Star Wars park would be amazing. Now I know I'm being wishful, but Disney is actually adding to Disney World Resorts this thing called the Galactic Star Cruiser, which on face value it's a hotel, but it's supposed to simulate a Star Wars experience by putting you on a cruise on a galactic space cruiser. All the staff members are actually in cosplay, portraying characters that are in Star Wars. They're supposed to be lightsaber training there for the kids, and it's supposed to be a 2-day experience. And from the projected prices, it might even cost like a cruise. It's kind of expensive. I hope the price comes down because I'm hoping to be able to do this in 2 years. But it opens in 2022. I want to see more stuff like that because honestly, Star Wars is a part of my life. And I know this video seems like it's a little bit of a diversion from what I normally do, which is music gear, DJ gear, and tutorials. But because Star Wars musically and imaginatively it's like part of my creative process, my creative identity. Like when people ask me who my favorite artists are, I don't have DJs listed. Like John Williams is on the top. The way he writes his music is a lot like a DJ. He's like, his music isn't exactly original pieces of work. He borrows. It's like he's taking songs and making it his own. And when he does it in a way where he's conveying an emotion to what you're seeing on the screen. And also the way I video edit, the way I learned to video edit wasn't making vlogs and making tutorials. It was because I like to edit things to music and actually dabble with a little bit of special effects and color grading. So this experience where I don't really enjoy taking trips was a great retreat for me because of Galaxy's Edge. And I know I'm fanboying right now, and maybe this is not your thing, and I get it. All I'm saying is if you have the means to do it and you have the way to experience something that makes you come home and feel good and feel at home and feel creative and feel rejuvenated, do yourself a favor and just do it. If you are a Star Wars fan and all you can afford is to do one park, just do Hollywood Studios so you can experience Galaxy's Edge. And I remind you, do it at your own risk. You're responsible for whether you go now or you want to wait until the pandemic's over or after you have a vaccine. But don't be afraid to do things that make you feel like a kid again. And I mean, I'm saying that I've always felt like a little kid. The joke is that I went from childhood to man-child to midlife crisis with no adulthood in between any of them. Anyways, I appreciate you guys for listening to me babble and review Galaxy's Edge. It's an experience of a lifetime, one that I'm going to cherish. If you like this video, please smash that like button. And if it's your first time here, I don't normally talk about Star Wars related content. It's a music channel that relates to DJ gear, showing the DJ gear and teaching how to use the DJ gear and including instruments into it. But Star Wars fans are welcome here too. While I do music gear review, I might do a lightsaber review. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that when my new lightsaber comes in. All right. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Take care, stay healthy, and may the Force be with you.